Thank you for joining me today. My name is Mr. Ben Pudiani. I am not alone. With me, I have my host, the wonderful host, Mrs. Rosette Kalitz. Is not close to me here. She is far away from me. I say hi to everyone, and then I would like to welcome you all in these lessons. I love you very much, and this week will be my last week with STEM Lockdown Digital School, and one of our teachers, the best teacher for NST grade 4, will be taking over from me. Please just be respectful, the same as you did to me, and then I love you all. And then at the beginning of the lesson, normally we start with our objectives. We start with our objectives. Now, our objectives for today are as follows. I have two objectives. Normally, we use two objectives every day because you are still very young children of grade 4, then we have to choose very carefully. So today we are going to learn about indigenous structures. These indigenous structures were the structures which were built long time back by people in South Africa. At the end of the lesson, you must be able to explain the difference between three indigenous structures. You must also be able to identify the various materials used to build those three indigenous structures. That is what you must learn today. Yesterday, we have learned an interesting lesson where we were focusing on importance of strengthening structures, and that triangulation is the way in which a structure can be strengthened. That is what we have learned yesterday. But before industrialization, people also wanted to live inside buildings. They wanted to build different things for themselves and their animals. Therefore, they were forced to use their knowledge and skills so that they are able to live inside the buildings. We have different cultures in South Africa where people used to live in different types of structures. So today we are going to focus on three different cultures, meaning we won't take all the cultures. We are going to only choose three. Now, in South Africa, there are many South Africans who build their own indigenous structures as homes. Since I told you I will focus on three only, now we'll start with the Zulu people. So the Zulu people were building a house which they used to call Uguqa.
Of these, and lastly, to understand how high cholesterol level.
The house is a dome shaped. A dome shape, meaning there is what you call an arch, is also one of the strongest shapes. So these dome structures were able to make the house to stand during the storm, during the windy, during the rainy season. As you can see,
Organic compounds, and we'll be dealing with lipids. All right. So if you just join in today, we'll be talking about two things, which are lipids and the tests These tests are your carbohydrate tests. All right. So we are doing the chemistry of life. That is chapter 1 in most of your textbooks. And I use multiple resources to come up with all this information. There are links at the end of the lesson for those who wanna, read up on these further. So just to quickly recap, yesterday we started off with organic compounds and we ended the inorganic compounds part. So we talked about fertilizers, the need of fertilizers in plants, the need for fertilizers in plants. So we said that plants may require a supply of inorganic nutrients through natural and non-natural fertilizers. An excess of non-natural fertilizers supplied to plants may result in eutrophication of rivers and lakes. It may result in the process called eutrophication of rivers and lakes. So what are fertilizers? Fertilizers are substances that are added to the soil to increase its soil nutrients. So these are like your nitrates and phosphates. And we have natural and non-natural. So your non-natural are man-made or synthetic fertilizers, all right? So they lead to an excess of these man-made fertilizers result in eutrophication. And we said that eutrophication is when there is an abundant supply of nutrients containing nitrates and phosphates that are washed off into the rivers, which then cause a rapid growth of algae. And now this algae, as it floats on top of the water, it covers the water surface and it prevents light from penetrating through down to plants that need it deep into the water. Remember that plants need light for photosynthesis. So as it blocks this light, the plants that need the light will die. Therefore, aquatic animals that feed on these plants will also die because the plants are now dead. And then there will be decomposition of both the plants and animals, which will lead to the bacteria growing inside the water, which will lead to what? The concentration of oxygen in the water to decrease, which will then lead to the death of more animal life inside the water. That is the process of eutrophication. I told you guys that that process is important, so do take note of it. And we started off with carbohydrates. Those are our first and most abundant group of molecules that are found under the organic compounds. Those are carbohydrates. So before I start off with carbohydrates, let me just remind you that organic compounds, we said that they all contain carbon, all right? And these include your carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, enzymes, nucleic acids, and vitamins. So under carbohydrates, we said that they are composed of monomers called monosaccharides, and two or more of these monomers bonded together are called disaccharides and polysaccharides respectively. So two monosaccharides bonded together, they are called disaccharides, and two or more bonded together are called polysaccharides. So examples of these are for monosaccharides, we have the glucose. Those are your simple sugars. We have your fructose for monosaccharides. And for disaccharides, we have your sucrose, your maltose, your lactose, that is your milk sugar for disaccharides. And for polysaccharides, we have examples such as your starch and cellulose. And for starch, in our everyday life, our starch is your pastas, your bread, your rice, potatoes, etc. Now that is what we covered yesterday. Now, I gave you guys a homework. I hope most of you, if not all, did it. So I said the diagram below is a schematic diagram, which means that the molecules represented may not resemble the actual chemical shape. Now, use the information provided in the diagrams to answer the following questions. So for polymer A, we have an animal cell. And for polymer B, we have a large carbohydrate molecule. This is a large carbohydrate molecule. So for number one, what is the polymer A that is found in an animal cell? Remember that humans are also animals. So what is this polymer A? We have an answer for number one, that is glycogen. Ngosipila says it's glycogen. That's correct. Remember that glycogen, we said that is the storage form of glucose in animals. And in plants, the storage form of glucose is starch. All right. Yes, thank you, Ms. P. Number one is glycogen. Now, what is the function of glycogen in the body? I just gave you the function now. The function of glycogen in the body. So Ngosipila says glycogen is an energy storage molecule. That is correct. So it is an energy storage molecule. So for number three, what could polymer B be? Remember that it is a large carbohydrate molecule, and a large carbohydrate molecule can be your polysaccharide. So any example of a polysaccharide? Yes, Nkosipile says it's starch. That's correct. It could be starch or cellulose. Now, those are our answers. If you didn't get that, here are the answers. So for number one, glycogen, that is polymer A, and the function of glycogen, it is an energy storage molecule. For number three, polymer B is starch. Those are our answers for our homework. Thank you to those who did it. It was quite easy. Now to continue, we will be talking about testing for carbohydrates. So what we mean by testing for carbohydrates, we mean that we are testing if carbohydrate is present in a substance or a food substance or anything that might have carbohydrates. So we are testing if it has that molecule. So firstly, we're going to talk about, we are testing for the presence of starch. All right. So firstly, for your materials, you know that in a practical activity, you should have your apparatus or materials. So for our materials, we can have a small piece of your bread, any starch containing food substance, that is your bread or your potato. You will have a test tube or a petri dish. And lastly, your iodine solution. So Ms. P is asking if this solution for the starch test is the Benedict solution. No, it's not. It's not the Benedict solution. This is the iodine solution. So for testing for starch, the presence of starch, we use the iodine solution. I hope you guys get that. Testing for starch, we use, testing for the presence of starch, rather, we use the iodine solution, not the Benedict solution. So you remember that starch is a polysaccharide, so we use iodine solution for polysaccharides, okay? So right here we have a potato, we peel it, or you can have your slice of bread here, just a piece of bread. Then you add your iodine solution. The iodine solution is an orange brownish color. So Tanik says Benedict's is for glucose, fructose, lactose, and maltose. Yes, it is. We'll talk about that after completing this one so that you guys can understand. Let us not confuse one another. But thanks for that, Tanik. That is 100% correct. So for starch, we use the iodine solution. And when you add a few drops of this solution, this iodine solution, which is in orange brownish color. So as you see here, it's an orange brownish color. You added few drops to the peeled potato. It will then turn blue-black when it reacts with starch. So if there's the presence of starch, the solution will turn blue-black. All right, guys. So at first it is orange brownish, and then if there is the presence of starch, it will then show you this color. So to know that the starch, we will see this color, blue-black color. Then it means that there is the presence of starch. Then you have proven that, okay, potatoes do contain starch. All right. Are you guys all right? This is for your testing for the presence of starch. And now testing for the presence of glucose, that is your monosaccharides. We are testing for the presence of sugars, your glucose, your fructose, your lactose. Then for your materials, we have test tube. This is a test tube, a beaker with water, a Bunsen burner, Benedict solution, and your test solution. So the test solution can either be your glucose. All right. So we're going to have your beaker with water. The water is boiling. Yes, Tyrese. Your glucose and your fructose are your sugars. Remember that monosaccharides are your simple sugars. Those are your sugars. So if there's glucose in the test tube and a bit of the Benedict solution, you add it there and wait for a few minutes or seconds. Then you will see that if the solution has your test solution, if it's glucose, if it has no, if it is glucose, if your test solution is glucose, yes, pardon me for that. If your test solution is glucose, then the solution will turn brick red. The color will be brick red. So if it is you have a fruit juice in there and your Benedict solution, then the color will be brick red because it will contain your, it means that it has glucose. And then if it has a little bit of glucose, it will turn orange red. It'll turn orange red. Okay, I'm reading through your chats now. So Lee says, so and burets will turn purple for protein and Benedict solution is for carbohydrate. Yeah, we'll
Triangles like that, triangles. You remember about the triangle shape, very strong. Thereafter, it becomes an inverted cone that is facing downwards. Then they will put more grass on top. Then that is the name thatched. Thatched is the name used when we put grass on top of the roof and then we put it to be the roof of the house, is thatching. Then the struts, those are the poles. So you see, the Xhosa people use different things, and they use many things than the Zulu people. Let's go to the next one. The next slide, you'll see the Nama people. These people, they were building a very simple house. Very simple. Because you can see the young tree branch is very light. It's not heavy. Then they were forming a shape like a beehive. They formed a beehive shape. And then the grass mats, you know the mat made from grass. They normally sell it on the streets. They normally sell this mat on the streets.
Yes, absolutely. You can get the slides from our website. I will share my email as well towards the end of the lesson. So in any way you prefer, I can email them to you, or you can check them out on our website. Okay. All right, guys. Now let's answer these questions and have a discussion. Okay. So who is this letter addressed to? What did you guys write?
And if your test solution, what you want to see, that maybe it has sugar or not, has moderate amount of the reducing sugar, then it will be orange red. And if your test solution has large amounts of glucose, then it will be brick red. Are we guys following? So your reducing sugars are all kinds of monosaccharides. So Miss P is asking if you can drink with your tea with all of these sugars, your glucose or your fructose. No, it all depends on one. If you take your sugar, your household sugar, you will see that it has glucose instead of lactose, but then there are those who are not lactose intolerant like us, who take the glucose, but those who are lactose milk sugars, they prefer lactose. They do not prefer lactose, but those who are not prefer lactose sugars. All right. It depends with one's diet.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sihle. The subject of the letter is corporal punishment. Remember, the subject is always there on top. Before you start writing, there's always the subject of the letter. Okay. So if you wrote something else that is not corporal punishment, that is not correct. Right.
It's important to use science terminology because they link with mathematics. We don't use the street language because we want the correct concepts. It's a cone on top and a cylinder. Yes, I like the way you cope with the new science terminology because we are going to be scientists. All right, let's come to the number D. What are the walls and roof made with? Let's start with the walls. The walls are made with the mud, correct? Yes, for free. Mud, you get it wherever you go. It's a natural thing, you don't buy it. And then the roof, yes, the roof is made from what? the roof is made from what? I'm happy Mandisa, I'm happy Ntokozo, Mpentle, yes, Mpilentle, okay, yes, you are right, everybody, yes, you know science. Zano, yes, Dane, Michela, yes, the roof is made from grass. Very simple, it's made from grass. Now, that it was the activity that I wanted you to do today. It's very simple. Let's move to the next part.
Okay. The letter may be published in a public newspaper, and address details are private and should not be given out. Also, the sender wanted to remain anonymous. Okay. Let's see, Yolusa said confidentiality. That is fine as well. To remain anonymous. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as you said that that person was trying to protect their identity. Okay.
To make a dome, they should have tried other shapes and failed, and ended up coming up with a very shape that is stronger than the other. So it took very long for these people to find out the right materials and the right shapes they should choose. Now, number B, what main difference is there between the Xhosa, Waterbile, and Iguka and the Makis Hayes? The main difference. What is the main difference between those three houses that you have seen? Yes, is the shape. Yes, is the shape, the material used. Good. Kalisa, Govenda. It is the materials. The difference is the materials and the shape used. Correct. I'm very happy that you know the answers. I'm very happy that you know the answers. Now, I am done with this lesson today. What you can do, you know the books that you are using. Look at the books, but before you go to the books, look at the website. Do you see that website? Ulwazi program.
Right. Identify features of the last paragraph of the letter. What does the last paragraph do? I want you to think about the conclusion that we spoke about yesterday. There are a couple of things that we mentioned yesterday when we talk about the conclusion. Okay, so what features of the last paragraph of the letter? What does the last paragraph do? C, correct. So yes, it does conclude. But it also suggests a way forward for the newspaper. So if you remember, the person who wrote the letter said that the journalist should have asked students, not teachers, about corporal punishment. So if you said it concludes, it sums up, that is correct, but also it suggested a way forward. Okay. Well done, guys. You did a great job. I see that you're paying attention, and I'm so happy. So I want us to go back a bit. Right. So when you write a letter to the editor, you state the issue, okay? So you explain the issue and its importance. You keep everything simple, okay? You don't want to complicate your letter. Secondly, you give evidence for any praise or criticism, okay? Just like the student who wrote the letter, her evidence was her talking about her own experiences, that they get punished, they get hit at school if they come late, and it's normally due to transport, and when she can't do her homework because they share books, this is what happens. So you make sure that after stating the issue, you give evidence, okay? Be clear in showing why this will have a good or bad results. Okay, right. So you state your opinion about what should be done, your suggestion about what should be done to improve the situation. Okay. So again, using the corporal punishment letter, the student, towards the end, she suggested that the person who wrote the right. So also when you're writing a letter to the editor, you don't want to write something that is extremely long. Okay. You want to keep it as simple as possible. So it has to be 250 to 300 words. Okay. Nothing above that. Right. Okay, I have another exercise for you guys quickly. Right. Okay, let's come back to the tone of the letter. So what do you guys have regarding the tone? What do you guys have regarding the tone? It's firm, yes. What did other people write regarding the tone? Troy said it's firm. Simone said it's honest, serious, yes. Okay, Yolisa said it's objective. What do others have? Not funny. It's not the correct way to explain the sife. It's formal, yes. Okay, remember, whatever it is that you are saying, you need to be able to support your answer by referring to the letter. Okay. Is there anyone who has what I have? I said the tone is challenging, confrontational, and it's critical. Is there anyone who has the same answers or something similar? Okay. So it's challenging, confrontational, or critical. And then I'm supporting my answer because the writer disagrees with the journalist who wrote the article. It criticizes Ms. Reed by stating that she has not done her research. It even advises her regarding what research she should have done. It suggests that she should have spoken to children. The writer of the letter gives some examples of corporal punishment in school the writer of the letter then gives some examples of corporal punishment in school to show the journalist, to point out that she is wrong and to provide evidence that contradicts what Miss Reed wrote. Okay. The letter writer points out how unfair the teachers are in their treatment of children and their application to corporal punishment. Okay, so these are the things that I mentioned here. They are supporting my statement that I said the tone of the letter is challenging, confrontational, and critical. So all the things that I'm mentioning here, I am supporting my answer for the tone. Okay, and these are all the things that the writer has mentioned in her letter. Okay, the writer of the letter ends it by giving more advice to the journalist. Her attitude towards the journalist is superior. And then finally, the writer of the letter has more information about the topic than the journalist, okay? This is evident in the tone of the letter, which is very critical of the journalist, okay? So this person, they know because they experience this, they go to school and they know that what is happening regarding corporal punishment, whereby the journalist is just speaking from a point of just interviewing only teachers, okay? Right, do you guys have similar answers to what I have? Do you guys have similar answers to this? Right, let's go on to our second exercise quickly. Right, imagine that you are writing a letter to the editor of a newspaper about drug use in your town. Which of the following would you use? Okay. For the salutation to a male editor. So what would be your answer? From dear sir, sir, dear sir or madam, sir, or madam, or respected sir. So what would be your answer? You can type your answers in our chat box, eh? Okay. I see B. If you said B, that's correct. If you said E as well, that's correct. All the other answers are incorrect. So the correct answer is sir, which is B, and E, respected sir. Okay. So the reason being, a letter to the editor falls under formal language, okay, which means that there's a format that has to be strictly followed when you are writing the letter to the editor. So we're not using dear sir, we are not using dear sir or madam, we are using sir or respected sir, okay? So the answer is A or E. Right, let's move on to number 2 as a heading, okay? So remember, the question is saying that you must imagine that you're writing a letter to the editor of a newspaper about a drug use in your town. So what would be the heading? What would be the heading of your letter? What would be the heading of your letter? Okay, correct answer is C. I see Dante got that one correct. Yeah, so it's definitely not A, it's C. Remember that you are writing a letter about drug use in your town. Okay, so the correct answer would be C. So your heading would be drugs in our town. Right, let's move on to number 3 for your introduction. What would be your introduction? What would be your introduction? Would it be A, B, C, or D? No, those who said B, that's incorrect. So your introduction would be D. The correct answer would be D. So you would start your letter by saying that I would like to raise the extremely serious issue of drug abuse among teenagers in South Africa. Okay. So for the second paragraph, after you have written your first paragraph, what would be your second paragraph? What would be your second paragraph? You also got it correct. It would be D. It would be D. I'm a very concerned parent of a young adolescent. Okay. Let's move on to number 5. For the third paragraph, what would be your answer? So number 5, what would be your answer? That's correct, B. I would like to see the police take action against drug dealers in this town. Remember, this is happening in your town. Okay. So for number 6, what would be your answer for number 6 for the fourth paragraph? D is correct. The police themselves are corrupt, and it was revealed by the media television program which showed them taking bribes from the drug dealers. Okay. Now, concluding. What would be in your conclusion? Remember what we said regarding a concluding paragraph. Besides it concluding everything, there's something else that it does as well. It offers a solution or a suggestion. So A is definitely the correct answer. Well done to those who said A. A is the correct answer. Okay. Quickly move on. Nom de plume. Okay, so you have never heard of the word nom de plume. So, okay, nom de plume is a French word for a pen name, okay? It was used to hide the identity of the writers or authors, okay? So it is used to conceal your identity to remain anonymous. Basically, nom de plume, it's what's written instead of your name. Okay. So instead of your name, there would be something else. Okay. In other letters, you would find anonymous. Right. So if you are writing your letter is controversial and you might be afraid to take credit for it, you use the nom de plume. Okay. So now that you know what nom de plume is or what is it about, what do you think nom de plume was? What for the corporal punishment letter that we just read? Thank you so much. Cleopatra and Castejo got that one correct. It's spare the child. Okay. So basically, the meaning of the word nom de plume, it just means pen name. Okay. But it is used in the world of journalism to hide people's identity. So instead of having the person's name, you will find nom de plume. Okay. Right. Quickly, what would be the nom de plume for the drug use in your town letter, the one that we've just done quickly? What would be, what's your answer? Okay, so the answer would be C. Consent parent. We could take D as well. Consent parent or consent citizen. Okay, C or D, it's still fine. Okay, quickly guys, let me get to, so this is your homework and it's due on Thursday, okay? So imagine that you are writing a letter to the editor of the People newspaper, okay? The city council is about to close the cinema, the local cinema. They want to demolish the old building, in its place, erect a brand new shopping mall. So you object to this, okay? Let me just show you quickly the rubric. So you'll be able to find the homework on our website as well, but I'm going to show it to you quickly. Can you guys see it on your screen? Quickly.
Yes, ma'am, we do.
All right. So this is your homework. It's due on Thursday, guys. So imagine that you are writing a letter to the editor of the People newspaper. The city council is about to close the local cinema, okay? They want to demolish the old building and in its place, erect a brand new shopping mall. So you are objecting to this. You are against this, okay? So based on the letters that we have done today, I want you to write your own, okay? This is the rubric that I will use to assess your letters, okay? So if you can't type it, you can just write it and then take a clear picture whereby I'll be able to see what you wrote, okay? And remember what we spoke about yesterday, you need to have your introduction, you need to have your body, and you need to have your conclusion, okay? So I want you to make sure you have all of these things. If you can, take a screenshot of the homework but I will remind you guys tomorrow as well. Yeah, but on the 7th, I would love for everybody to submit. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed today's lesson. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Sorry, teacher, just before you go, they are asking you what time is this due?
Yes, I was going to say the time, it doesn't matter. Any time on Thursday, okay? Before the day ends on Thursday, I need everybody to submit.